Oh, God. Get back. Get away! Oh no, it's coming right for me. Move! Move!
You're 200 feet below the Antarctic ice, and your headlamp is the only source of light cutting through the absolute darkness. Everything around you is freezing black water, complete silence except for the sound of your own breathing through the regulator. You've been down here for 37 minutes now, and your oxygen gauge is telling you that you have exactly 22 minutes of air remaining before you need to surface. Your mission today was simple. Collect sediment samples from the ocean floor beneath the Ross Ice Shelf and document any unusual geological formations. But what you're looking at right now wasn't in any briefing, and it definitely wasn't mentioned in any of the expedition reports you studied before this dive. There's a structure on the seafloor directly in front of you, and at first glance it looks like some kind of natural rock formation covered in coral, but as your torch beam moves across its surface, you realize that the entire thing is moving. Thousands of thin, pale, spindly legs are twitching and crawling across what appears to be some kind of massive nest or feeding ground. Your scientific curiosity overrides the primal fear that's starting to creep into your chest, and you decide to move closer to get a better look. You extend your gloved hand toward the edge of the mound, thinking you'll just touch it gently to see what kind of texture these creatures have, and maybe collect a small sample for the research team back at the station. That's when everything goes wrong in less than a second. A massive shape explodes from the center of the nest with shocking speed, its long segmented legs unfolding like some nightmare version of a spider mixed with a crab. The creature lunges directly at you, and before you can react or swim backward, you feel a sharp impact against your right shoulder that sends you spinning in the water. There's a sound you've never heard before underwater, a metallic hissing that cuts through the usual muffled silence of the deep. Bubbles erupt from your suit in a stream of silvery spheres that race toward the ice ceiling above you. And that's when the cold hits you like a knife blade pressed against your skin. Your dry suit has been punctured, and the Antarctic water is flooding in. Your mind is racing as you try to process what just attacked you, because nothing you studied in marine biology prepared you for something this massive and this aggressive in these waters. The creature that's now hovering in front of you, its legs spread wide like some alien sentinel, is a sea spider, but not like any sea spider that exists in normal ocean environments. This thing has legs that span more than 2 feet from tip to tip, and its body looks like something designed by a horror artist rather than by nature. In the beam of your headlamp, you can see its pale exoskeleton, almost translucent in places, and the way its multiple legs move with an unsettling coordination that makes your skin crawl even through the cold that's now spreading across your shoulder. This is the result of something called polar gigantism, a phenomenon that occurs in the freezing waters of the Antarctic, where creatures grow to absolutely terrifying sizes compared to their cousins in warmer oceans. The extreme cold and the high oxygen content of these waters allow invertebrates like sea spiders to grow far beyond their normal proportions, creating monsters that seem like they belong in prehistoric times rather than the modern ocean. These Antarctic sea spiders are equipped with a proboscis, essentially a straw-like mouth structure that they use to pierce the bodies of their prey and suck out the fluids from soft-bodied creatures like anemones, jellyfish, and coral polyps. They are normally slow-moving scavengers and hunters that pose absolutely no threat to humans because they're not aggressive and they're not interested in anything as large as a diver. But something has changed in their behavior right now, and you're about to discover exactly how wrong your assumptions about these creatures can be. The water leaking into your suit is now spreading across your chest and down your arm, and the cold is so intense that it feels like your muscles are seizing up. You can feel your core temperature starting to drop, and you know from your training that hypothermia in water this cold can begin affecting your judgment and motor skills within just a few minutes of exposure. You need to surface immediately, but as you turn to begin your ascent, your headlamp reveals something that makes your blood run even colder than the water soaking into your suit. Their everywhere around you now, drawn by the commotion and possibly by the scent of your fear or the chemicals from your damaged suit leaking into the water. Dozens of massive sea spiders are converging on your position from every direction, their long legs creating a forest of moving limbs that blocks your path to the surface. Your light sweeps across the scene and counts them. 20, 30, 50, maybe more emerging from the darkness beyond the reach of your beam. Each one has those same massive legs spanning 2 feet or more, and they're all moving toward you with purpose, their bodies hovering in the water column like underwater helicopters, their legs rowing through the freezing blackness. You've read about swarm behavior in marine creatures, but sea spiders aren't supposed to exhibit this kind of coordinated group activity. They're solitary hunters that stake out territories and compete with each other for food sources rather than working together. But what you're witnessing right now is definitely coordinated movement, as if your presence has triggered some kind of collective response from the entire population in this area. The beam from your headlamp seems to be making things worse, because these creatures are attracted to light in the same way that moths are drawn to flames. Every sweep of your torch brings more of them toward you, their pale bodies emerging from the darkness, like ghosts materializing from another dimension entirely. You try to swim upward, kicking hard with your fins to generate enough thrust to break through the swarm, but the water flooding into your suit is adding weight that's making every movement harder than it should be. Your right arm feels sluggish and weak from the cold, and you can feel your fingers starting to lose sensation inside your glove. That's when you feel the first one land on your back. The weight is surprisingly heavy for a creature that looks so delicate, and you can feel its legs gripping the fabric of your suit, its claws finding purchase in the material as it tries to stabilize itself. Then another one attaches to your leg, and another grabs your left arm, and suddenly you're being pulled down instead of swimming up. The panic that you've been fighting to keep under control explodes in your chest like a grenade, and your breathing rate spikes so high that you can hear the regulator struggling to keep up with your demand for air. Every breath sounds ragged and desperate, and you know that if you don't get control of yourself right now, you're going to burn through your remaining oxygen in minutes instead of the 20 you thought you had left. Your training kicks in despite the fear, and you force yourself to slow your breathing down to a more manageable rate, counting the seconds between each inhale and exhale to establish a rhythm that will conserve your air supply. But even as you're doing this, you can feel more of the creatures attaching themselves to your body, their weight accumulating with each new arrival until you're barely able to maintain neutral buoyancy. The puncture in your suit is getting worse. You can tell by the way the cold is spreading faster. Now, reaching across your chest and down toward your waist as the water finds new pathways through the damaged material. The Antarctic Ocean is -2 degrees Celsius, cold enough to kill you from hypothermia in less than 15 minutes if you're fully immersed. And right now, you're getting closer to that full immersion with every second that passes. You reach down to your weight belt, your fingers fumbling with the quick-release buckle that will drop the lead weights you're carrying to maintain proper buoyancy at depth. This is an emergency procedure that you've practiced 100 times in training, but never once thought you'd actually need to use in a real situation. Because dropping your weights means an uncontrolled ascent that could give you decompression sickness, or even an arterial gas embolism if you rise too fast. But right now, the choice is between risking the bends and definitely dying from hypothermia and oxygen depletion, while being dragged down by a swarm of giant sea spiders. The math on that decision is pretty straightforward, and your fingers finally find the release mechanism and pull hard. The weights drop away into the darkness below, and you feel the immediate effect as your body starts to rise through the water column. But the sea spiders are still clinging to you, their legs hooked into your suit, and their combined weight is slowing your ascent to a crawl that's still not fast enough to save you. You start swatting at them, using your gloved hands to grab their legs and pull them off your body one at a time. Some of them release easily, but others have their claws embedded deep in the fabric, and you have to yank hard to break their grip, feeling the material tear further with each removal. Your oxygen gauge is now reading 11 minutes remaining, and you're still at least 150 feet below the surface with a compromised suit and a body temperature that's dropping by the second. The cold is affecting your thinking now. You can feel the fog creeping in at the edges of your consciousness, making simple calculations harder than they should be, and slowing your reaction time to dangerous levels. You kick harder, ignoring the burning in your leg muscles, and the creature's still attached to your lower body, focusing everything on reaching the ice ceiling above, where there's a dive hole cut through the ice that leads to the surface, and safety and warmth and air that doesn't come from a tank that's rapidly running empty.
I can't feel my legs! Stay with us, drink this. We've got you, hold on. Help is coming, stay awake.
The last 30 feet of your ascent are a blur of motion and panic and cold that's so intense it's moved beyond pain into something that feels like your entire body is being compressed in a vice made of ice. You're still pulling sea spiders off your suit, still kicking toward the faint glow of daylight that's filtering through the dive hole. Still trying to maintain enough control to avoid rocketing to the surface so fast that you blow out your lungs or give yourself a catastrophic case of the bends. Your head breaks through the surface of the water, and you gasp in a breath of Antarctic air that feels like fire in your lungs compared to the cold that's been surrounding you for the past 5 minutes of absolute hell. Your support team on the ice is shouting and reaching for you, grabbing your arms and hauling you out of the water with an urgency that tells you that you must look as bad as you feel. They're cutting away your suit before you're even fully on solid ice, exposing the soaking wet thermal layers underneath that are clinging to your skin and still leaching away your body heat. Someone is wrapping you in a thermal blanket, while someone else is radioing for immediate medical evacuation, and you're shaking so hard that your teeth are chattering too violently to form words. But you're alive. And that's more than you thought would be true about 2 minutes ago when you were still underwater with a swarm of prehistoric-looking nightmares trying to drag you down into the darkness. Your vision is starting to clear now, and the immediate panic is fading into the background as your body begins to register that you're safe and out of immediate danger. The support team is asking you questions about what happened, about how your suit got punctured, about whether you need immediate recompression treatment for decompression sickness. That's when you feel it. Movement against your right leg that shouldn't be there. You look down at your boot, and your blood turns cold all over again, despite the thermal blankets and the emergency heating packs that your team has activated and pressed against your core. There's something clinging to your boot, its pale legs wrapped around the rubber material, its body pressed flat against the side, as if it's trying to hide or find a way through the material to reach your skin. It's one of them. One of the giant sea spiders that managed to hold on through your entire ascent, and through being hauled out of the water and onto the ice. And even now, it's still trying to find a way in, its proboscis extending and retracting as it searches for a weak point in your gear. Someone on your team sees it at the same moment you do, and there's a shout followed by someone grabbing an equipment pole and knocking the creature off your boot with enough force to send it sliding across the ice. It lands on its back, legs flailing, and for a moment everyone just stares at it in stunned silence, because none of them have ever seen a sea spider this large or this aggressive. You survived the swarm attack 200 feet below the Antarctic ice. You survived the punctured suit and the flooding and the hypothermia and the oxygen depletion and the nightmare ascent through a forest of grasping legs. But even now, hours later, after you've been warmed up and checked by medical and debriefed by the expedition leadership, you can still feel those legs on your body. And you know that somewhere down there in the darkness beneath the ice, the swarm is still waiting, still hunting, still growing larger in the freezing water where polar gigantism creates monsters that most people don't even know exist. The Antarctic holds its secrets deep, and some of those secrets have legs that span 2 feet, and a hunger that doesn't care whether you're a coral polyp or a human diver in an expensive suit. You survived this time, but the ocean doesn't forget, and neither will you.